Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is non-attachment. And what does it look like with the things we hold most dear, the ideas, the beliefs, the identities? What does it look like when our ideals are bigger than those things that we've held close to our heart? We'll dig into this. It's sort of a thorny, complicated question, but before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale any stress, tension, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, all your molecules, your electrons, lighting you up from the inside out with this beam of light from your heart out into the world. As you exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together, rub your palms together, rub your fingers against your palms, feel the tickling, the tingling, the tension, the texture, the pressure, the sensation, and allow that sensation to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables you to experience life. Good morning, Rosalind. Welcome. So good to have you here with us this morning, and welcome to everyone else who's joining us. We're talking about non-attachment. And this conversation comes out of a conversation that I had yesterday, which was had a very profound impact on me, and in many ways, actually. But you guys have heard me talking about the Eco Park, and I was engaged in a conversation with someone who is so profoundly, deeply connected to the natural world, who put an earworm in my ear, a brain bug that sort of has been multiplying and expanding and twisting my thoughts a bit. Good morning, Sophia. So good to have you here joining us. Welcome. So today it's really hot here where I am. Today we're talking about non-attachment. So anyway, we were talking about this vision of the Eco Park and how what the evolution is that we're trying to that we see as a path forward in the world. And we were connecting to the, on a spiritual level, on some level, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing that needs fixing. There's nothing that needs course correcting. And in some way, shape, and form, there's nothing to do. And while that may be so on some level, there's also what this person was talking about was connecting to the space and place that we're in wherever we are, like connecting to the natural world around us, knowing what the plants are where we are, knowing the birds, knowing the landscape, knowing where the water goes, knowing where our waste goes, being connected to where we are. And that maybe what we need to be doing is to be localizing rather than globalizing, rather than creating this big place that nature may or may not want to be calling forth. Maybe what we get to do is be in our environments and enrich our local environments. So there was a contrasting of these different approaches and perspectives. And there was a moment in that conversation where I deeply connected with the intention of the Eco Park, which is really to shift our relationship with nature and our awareness. And my vision is this centralized place where people, ironically, in a way, perhaps, where people would come to be awakened to the benefit and the joy and the possibility of really connecting in their local environments and also shifting their way of being on the planet. Now, there are multitudes of ways to do this, right? And what came up in the conversation was outside in or inside out. You know, both passages, both approaches move toward the same objective, right? Like all roads lead to Mecca kind of idea. But there was a moment in that conversation where I allowed myself for a moment to entertain what would it be to let go of the idea of the Eco Park. And in that moment, I realized my deep attachment to this idea. In 2017, I took it on as my purpose, you know, my life's purpose. And in that moment where I considered that perhaps it's not the best thing, you know, it took a lot of courage, I guess, to be looking at that possibility, and or even opening the door to looking at that possibility. There was such heartbreak for me in that moment, and a feeling of disorientation, because this has since 2017, this vision has given me my life in so many ways. When we find a path of purpose, it gives us our lives. It acts as a lodestar, it acts as a compass, it acts as a way to ground ourselves and to find resilience and to become more than we can imagine ourselves to be, you know. And so in that moment of confronting the possibility that this might not be the best way to serve my bigger values, like the values that drive the Eco Park in the first place, there was just a profound sense of loss and fear and disorientation, all kinds of intense feelings. And it makes me wonder, and that's where this conversation comes from, is what is non-attachment? And is it possible to be in a place of deep commitment in the same moment that we are in a place of non-attachment? It's a good question, right? So Rosalind says, non-attachment emerges from changing a conditional pattern. I have to think about that one. What is felt in the body, rooted by memories, and it's hard not to make something about us. Is non-attachment related to disconnecting with the desire? Well, that's really what we're talking about. Is non-attachment related to disconnecting with the desire? So I'm wondering if desire and attachment are equivalent or not. Can I be committed and also non-attached or unattached? So if we look at attachment, there's a fixedness about it. There's a stagnance about attachment, right? Because there's a holding, right? And we talk a lot about holding with open hand. And I'm wondering if we can have a commitment and be, for instance, unattached to the outcome. So with the Eco Park, I don't know if it's ever going to happen. It may never happen. It may not happen in my lifetime. It may happen in my lifetime. And it's a vision that I have. And the question is, where is my commitment? Is the commitment to bring forward the Eco Park, or is my commitment to bring forward the things that the Eco Park is intended to accomplish? And that it may be that the notion of the Eco Park itself it may become an obsolete idea. I don't know. And so if I'm committed, and I wonder if commitment and attachment are equivalent, but if I'm committed to the things that motivated the idea of the Eco Park, then those ideas may supersede the particular manifestation that the Eco Park would be, if that makes any sense. So, that's kind of where I'm playing at the moment, is reconceptualizing the Eco Park a bit from being a place where it's about solutions to a place where it's more about being in the question and learning how to ask questions that truly forward the action. And what I'm realizing with this whole notion of non-attachment or our larger commitments is that if we're wanting to respond to the call of what's emergent, of the call of the future, the call of nature, the call of our becoming, what does that look like for our own individual will? Because in this conversation, there was a part of me, I was noticing different parts of me being activated in the conversation. And there was a part of me that was kind of like an adolescent part energy that just wanted to say, I don't want to have this conversation. I just want to do what I want to do. And I want to make this happen. And I don't even want to have to consider the things that you're putting in front of me. Good morning, Lisa. Welcome. So good to have you here with us this morning. We're talking about non-attachment and commitment, and if they can coexist, and also non-attachment and desire, can they coexist? And what does that look like? And so what arose for me yesterday was confronting the unknown when it was challenging one of the things that I have considered to be my deepest anchor, my deepest grounding for, well, 5 years. And so we talk a lot here about being responsive, right? Rather than reactive. And I got to see, you know, there were parts of me that were being really reactive and afraid. There was another part of me that just was like, wow, you know, I don't know what's next. Who will I be? What am I up to? You know, I felt rudderless and at adrift in that moment. And there was a lot going on so many different levels, different selves of different ages, all vying for attention and to be able to direct what was going to happen next. You know, like what happens when we actually entertain the notion of releasing our dream, you know, the dream that we've identified with. So it's another level of identity, right? You know, what's possible if we actually allow ourselves to question those foundational parts of our identity and our existence and all of that. So Lisa says, I'm kind of doing that dance now, commitment with no attachment. Yeah, so that, what a heck of a dance, right, Lisa? So what does it mean, commitment with no attachment? It sounds like they are opposites. It sounds like those are notions that can't coexist, but I believe they can. Like we can have a commitment and allow, does that mean that we allow that commitment to change, or does it mean that we allow the manifestation of that commitment to change? And then on some level, is that commitment and attachment? You know, it's interesting. I am wading my way through this murky, mucky kind of inquiry. So Rosalind says, to give purpose and context to something is actually an illusion, question mark. So I think, I don't know if it's an illusion as much as it is a construct, and maybe a construct is an illusion. But I believe that we create constructs, those are the building blocks of the realities that we create for ourselves, which are not realities with capital R, but small r. So Rosalind continues, how does the sense of I come to be? That's such a great and big question. That's kind of where we're going with this a bit. Then the no me, then the no me exists. Master Stephen Coe says correlation does not equal causation. Exactly, we know this. The journey back to true self and sensitivity is ability to experience it all at once. Whew, Rosalind, so deep, super deep today. So it's very interesting when you talk about where does the sense of I come to be. Because again, I've been listening to a book that was recommended to me, and it is called The Untethered Soul, I believe. Or let me just, I'll find it because I don't want to Yeah, it is called The Untethered Soul. And he talks a lot about who am I, right? Am I all the conversation that's constantly chattering in my head? Am I all the roles and responsibilities that I have? Am I, who am I? And the answer that I've arrived at around that is I'm life flowing through me. I'm life expressing itself through me. And if that's true, when I'm holding on to something, when I'm trying to grab onto the shore of this flowing river, then I'm impeding the flow of life. And so, with this notion of non-attachment, perhaps is that I don't know that non-attachment means disconnection. I think we can be fully engaged and unattached. We can be fully engaged in the flow of life without clinging to notions of self or notions of with our beliefs or possessions or even our dreams. I can be dreaming this dream and then the dream can change. And I can, as I allow that, maybe this whole conversation about non-attachment is a conversation about allowing. So Rosalind says, Confucius, those who break the bridge also destroy the bridge they themselves must pass. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. That's an interesting thing in this context, particularly. And sometimes, so those who break the bridge also destroy the bridge they themselves must pass. And yet we live in cycles of creation and destruction, or life and death and transformation, right? And sometimes in destroying one bridge, maybe, how sometimes we cut off our options so that we can deepen into the place where we are. I don't know. I don't have answers around this. I am deep in the questions right now. I can tell you that. And in a way that is very confronting, to be looking at this vision of my vision for this eco park, and what is its intention, and is it the best way to serve that intention, or is it a way that serves that intention that is best for me and my going forward in my process, so and does it serve nature, and is it going to be an affront to the very things that are the commitment driving it in the first place, because here I am, an arrogant human, pretending that I know best, looking to overrule nature, where this person that I've been talking to is saying, talk to the trees, talk to the ground, talk to the animals that live there, and see if this is what they want to bring forth, which is a radically different vantage point from which to be looking at this stuff. Lisa says, it's interesting. I love that you make me think about this. Well, I'm glad that you love it, because I love having people that are engaging in some of the same mind twisting that I go through. It makes me feel less alone. So thank you for playing with me, Lisa, really. I'm in a karmic dance to learn what I'm here to learn right now. That's a beautiful identity. Who I am is a karmic dance to learn what I'm here to learn. I love that. Right now, commitment without attachment, or maybe even attachment without commitment. Well, that, then we get to talk about, well, what is commitment? And is commitment something that is commitment to others or commitment to self, or is there any difference? And what's the difference between commitment and attachment? Yeah, because I guess on some level, any commitment would be an attachment. And we can have attachments without commitment for sure. But I guess I'm looking at what are our deepest commitments? And is it possible to be having those deepest commitments or those fondest dreams in a way that's non-attached, in a way that allows us the expression of life in its changes and evolution? Interesting stuff. So Rosalind says, insights can become more clear when you're centered in your heart and soul. I think it's driven by one's values. I'm working on identifying what are my values. Well, check out the values cards, Rosalind, on the Core Connection site. If you go to yourcoreconnection.com, there's a tab for the cards. I put together these Core Connection cards. I don't know if I have, here they are. And it's 125 different values. And the exercise is to order them and to really be digging in. What's this one? Impeccability. Interesting. And there it is. You can see it. And this is what they look like on the back. Anyway, it's a profound exercise to be really looking at your values and how they show up in your world. So Lisa says, I went to that site and couldn't find it. Let me find it for you. I'll put a link in, and then I have to go because I have a client. So here is the link. And see what you see. And I have to run, but I'm just so grateful to you guys for sharing this time and going into these often uncomfortable places for these thought exercises and experiments. So much love to you. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live here each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. Please check out the other awesome programming on Enlightened World Network, Enlightened World Living, EWN, One with the Earth. And I hope to see you soon. Lisa says, wish I was here from the beginning. Well, you can catch the replay, Lisa. So it's always good to have you guys here. It means the world. So much love to you. Till next time.